In this unit, what we will be talking about is the introduction to Darwinian evolution. And why Darwinian? Well, Charles Darwin was a British naturalist who first proposed a plausible mechanism to evolution. And when we think of the word evolution, we think of the words such as changes, fossils, and billions of years. And this is all very acceptable ways to think of evolution. So the very term evolution actually refers to the accumulation of inherited changes within populations. And in this case, what I have is a comparison of a human, cat, whale, and bat, and anatomical comparisons of the four. And so there are common ancestor, is one single common ancestor in these four organisms. And what are they? Well, they all have cells. They all have cells with a nucleus, and they all have organelles inside the cells. And so what this means is that they are all eukaryotic organisms. And remember, when we refer back to the first video of evolution, is that, and when I introduced to you cells, eukaryotic organisms have cells with a nucleus, and and the cells have organelles in them. So all this so that you can, this can actually lead to one single common ancestors, which is all four of these are eukaryotic organisms. Well, these other ones have very similar. So they have the radius there, the humerus, the ulna, the carpal, and the phalanges. And so is phalanges are here, and very similar to the bats also. The phalanges are basically your fingers. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phalanges here on the whale. They should have colored this one the same color as this. But that's just a example of what changes this evolution can occur, and what sort of what types of organisms that it can produce. And so when we talk about populations, I'm talking about a group of individuals of one species that live in the same geographic area and at the same time. And a good example of that would be the Canada geese. This is a flock of Canada geese. They're migrating south, and Canada geese can actually be found in North America and in temperate and Arctic regions of North America, as well as Northern Europe. And then I keep bringing up the word species. Well, species is a group of organisms with similar function, structure, function, behavior, and are capable of interbreeding. And in this picture, what we have here is the mother Canada goose. And once her ducklings grow to be adults, they'll have very similar colors. They're different colored now, but as they get older and become adults, they'll have longer beaks, longer wings, then they'll be able to fly, and they can actually interbreed with each other. So some might think that evolution refers to changes that could occur in individuals of one species. Instead, evolution refers to the characteristics of populations over the course of generations. And so the changes may be either large or small. And the large changes is very apparent. And this is an example of Myrtle the turtle and my dog Coco. So as you can see, there are very significant differences between Myrtle and Coco. Coco has fur, she's warm-blooded, and Myrtle has sort of a scaly skin. He's cold-blooded, and he's got a shell there. But there are also significant similarities to Coco and Myrtle, and that is from the first slide. They are eukaryotic organisms. And eukaryotic organisms, what I said before, is they have cells with a nucleus. The nucleus contains the DNA, and they also have organelles inside the cells. So that's a very similar, those are the similarities between Myrtle and Coco. And there are also small changes that are very subtle that you may not even see This is an example of Drosophila obscura, and Drosophila obscura are native to Europe. They're European fruit flies, and you probably know of the term Drosophila from when you did a lab on Drosophila melanogaster, and Drosophila melanogaster are native to North America. But anyway, this is the same species of Drosophila obscura. One is found in Northern Europe, and the other one is found in Southern Europe. You may not be able to see here, but the wings are actually, the wing of this fruit fly is actually a little bit longer than the wings of this fruit fly. So what you see is the length of the wings are different, but they're very similar species. They're the same species. One is found in Northern Europe. The one with the longer wings is found in Northern Europe in Denmark, and the one with the shorter wing is found in Southern Europe in Spain. So we come to question, why is evolution so important? Why do we need to know about evolution? But there are actually very practical uses to evolution. The first is the understanding evolution. We come to understand also how to use evolution in practical ways. This is a picture of a farmer who's using pesticides to help protect his crops. And why do we use pesticides? So that it prevents insects from eating the crop, so that way it can feed a large number of people. But oftentimes what happened over the years is that insects have developed resistance to these pesticides. So what agricultural scientists have to do is they have to change the form of pesticides so that it continuously targets insects so that it doesn't destroy crops. Another example is, this is an image of a antibiotic resistant bacteria. And this is the bacteria, and this is the other quote-unquote normal forms of bacteria. And this is actually, even though this is a computer-generated image of a bacteria, this is actually happening now. And Swedish scientists have found, taken samples of water samples from a pharmaceutical plant in India. And the rivers nearby this plant have large doses of antibiotics. And so what happened is that the bacteria in these rivers have evolved to defend themselves against these antibiotics. So now we have antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And this is a huge fear of many medical researchers, health professionals, and scientists, because we don't want bacteria to have resistance against antibiotics. That's why we have the antibiotics to begin with, is so we can fight the infection. So this is one of the problems that are coming up now, is the overprescribing of antibiotics and the bacteria's ability to evolve to build up a resistance against these antibiotics. Naturalist named Charles Darwin. If it weren't for him, then we wouldn't have been able to understand much of what we know today of our natural world. So what Charles Darwin did was he proposed a scientifically testable mechanism for evolution, which is by a process of gradual divergence. And gradual divergence is the splitting of evolutionary pathways. Remember what I had mentioned before about eukaryotic organisms. So eukaryotes, and they have split into 4 kingdoms, which is plants, animals, protists, and fungi. So Charles Darwin argued persuasively that all species that exist today, as well as the countless extinct species that existed in the past, arose from earlier ones by a process of gradual divergence. So some biological disciplines that focus on evolution today include biological evolution, evolutionary development biology, evolutionary genetics, evolutionary ecology, evolutionary systematics, and finally the molecular evolution.